All right, fans, listen up. It's time to get that merch. Put on waivers and put on Raiders merch. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, DM us, text us, sizes, orders. We got you. And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the 90-degree shores of Southern California. It is hot. It's hot. I'm sweating a little bit, so we can see if we can get through this. We do have BD Williams coming on the show, but first, it was the first game of the year, right, Ryan? What are your thoughts about the Cowboys and the Buccaneers? My thought process immediately was a missed opportunity for the Cowboys, a missed opportunity for them to kind of pound their chest and say they're back. You're never going to get 4 turnovers on the road to be a quality opponent. Injuries can happen at any point. You got a great game from Amari. You got a great game from the quarterback, and they kind of let that slide in their loss to the Buccaneers and Tom Brady.
Yeah, clearly this is a missed opportunity for the Cowboys. They had the chance to go on the road and beat the defending Super Bowl champions in their house. They moved the ball pretty well. They threw for 400 yards. Missed opportunities in the red zone. They went 1 of 4 scoring inside the red zone. They missed a field goal. They missed an extra point. At the end of the day, all that added up. And special teams got him here a little bit too. The coverage units weren't very good. Tampa kept getting good field position. And the fact they got 4 turnovers on the road and couldn't win the game.
How do you lose that game?
That to me would sit the worst if I was a Cowboys fan or on that coaching staff. Like they got the turnovers when they needed to. They had an opportunity to win the game. If they convert that final third down into a first down, they could run the clock out. There were so many missed opportunities in this game for them to walk out of there 1-0. And now they're going to need to win some games here in the next couple of weeks to stay afloat. The good thing for them is they're in the NFC East, so it might only take 8 or 9 wins to win that division.
I mean, listen, you never know with injury. You never know if you're going to be playing with that backup quarterback or maybe even trying to have an assigned Cam Newton because you can't because you don't have Dak. Dak, I thought played kind of heroic in a lot of ways in that game. And how about Vita Vea pushing people back like he was? That's scary. You couldn't pay me enough to block that dude. Oh my god, that thing was unbelievable.
That's a grown man.
That is a grown man right there, boy. You talked about the turnovers, especially the turnovers that were in the Buccaneers territory. They had opportunities to score. It was kind of like the equivalent of like having the bases loaded with nobody out. You feel like you've already scored already, but you didn't score. So that's going to be a issue for them. Not winning that, not taking advantage of those opportunities. How about this? How about they have all these coaches, all these specialty coaches? How about nobody's ever going to do it because it goes into the head coach situation? But how about a game management coordinator or specialist? Because I don't care what you do with your timeouts in the first half, Ryan, but you cannot. Take the penalty. You need all 3 timeouts, especially on the road. You cannot lose timeouts on the road in the second half of a ball game. If they had it, I mean, they could have done more in the second half.
Oh, definitely. I like the offensive game plan. I've heard a lot of people complaining, they only ran the ball 11 times. You're not running the ball against that front with the offensive line the Cowboys ran out there yesterday without Zach Martin. And they ran a lot of RPOs. There was a lot of play action where they threw the ball into the flat, where it was a read for Dak Prescott. So there was some RPOs dialed up there. They just got the looks they wanted on the outside and were able to throw the ball out there on some hitch routes and some quick out routes to get some yardage. But the time management and the game management down the stretch weren't very good for Dallas. That's been a problem since back into the Jason Garrett days. Mike McCarthy's had his fair share of those challenges as well. And you're right. At the end of the day, these games come down to one final possession more times than not. And it's the teams that have the timeouts and play the last 2 minutes of these games correctly that win. I'm not an NFL coach by any stretch, but if I was, I would literally only focus on red zone offense, red zone defense, under 2 minutes. Team has 1 timeout, team has no timeouts. It amazes me how Dallas let Tampa Bay get out of bounds 3 times on that last drive when they didn't have any timeouts. They had 1 and they lost it on the false start penalty and then just let them get out of bounds. Like, you got to guard the sidelines. If you're going to give up 15 yards, do it in the middle of the field. Don't do it on the sidelines.
I mean, if you have to take DBs and stand them on the outside, I mean, like, you can't allow those plays to happen. Really bad situation for the Cowboys. And I felt like this is some of what I've heard was, people kind of being happy for the Cowboys or saying this. Listen, when you're the Cowboys, when you're the Raiders, when you lose, you lose. It's kind of the way people felt after the Raiders lost their second game to Kansas City last year. Oh, look how good they played. They gave it the old college try. This isn't like high school football. This isn't any of that. So this is NFL football. A loss is a loss. And now they end up with I believe Lyle Collins just got suspended for 5 games. So all of a sudden now you're looking for tackle help. So that's why all these wins are important. That's why all these wins are, even in the piss poor division they play in, you got to take advantage of these opportunities to win this game. And I give the Bucks credit for being resilient here. I mean, don't cry about the pass interference because that game was lost way before that pass interference on Chris Godwin, or should have been called pass interference on Chris Godwin.
Yeah, if they do call that penalty, there's still plenty of time left for Brady to drive them 15, 20 yards and get that field goal. But you're right. At the end of the day, to me, it came down to lack of pass rush by Dallas. They never got to Brady. They didn't affect him. I was surprised on that last drive until they got to midfield. I could be wrong, but just going off of memory, I'm pretty sure DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory were standing on the sideline. I saw number 93, and then a guy in his 50s. I want to say it's Bradley Anu, 56, rushing on the first 3 or 4 plays of that drive. Like, why are those two guys not on the field in that situation? But Mike McCarthy's never been a good in-game manager when it comes to strategy down the stretch, and that reared its head once again. And there's no moral victories in the National Football League. You get 17 games, and you need to win 10 of them, sometimes 11. So it doesn't matter if you were close or not. It's just not horseshoes or hand grenades. You either won or you lost at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as like McCarthy, what about McCarthy? How are you pumping your fist after that field goal goes in, when you know it's 90 seconds left and there's one timeout and it's Tom Brady? Like, I don't even understand that. I make no sense. And like, to me, they had 3rd and 16. That kid's Amari makes some moves. They get to a manageable 4th down. That's where, if you had 3 timeouts, and even if you didn't, I probably would have went for that. Like, I mean, that's a long field goal. You can make the excuse that the kicker has missed a bunch of kicks in that game. You go for it. Maybe you get it. They're having trouble covering Dak, having trouble covering CeeDee Lamb. Maybe you get. I mean, you're probably going to get a pass interference if you don't get a traditional 1st down there. So that's what I would have done. But listen, you play for field goals. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. No, of course.
And they kicked 3 of them inside the red zone there, and they had 2 4th and 3s in the first half, and they kicked field goals on both of them when they were losing. So they were playing catch up the whole game, and they were lucky to be in that opportunity. If Godwin doesn't fumble that ball going in for a touchdown to give them a 2-score lead, this game's over. So they got a gift right there at the end. And for me, I'm probably going for that 4th and 5, or 4th and 4, whatever it was, because if they get the 1st down there, the game's over as long as they make the kick, because Tampa can't stop the clock at that point. They're going to have to use all their timeouts. They're going to run the clock down. So, and then they were kind of, I don't have the tape, but they were playing a soft zone. They were giving up the outside, 10, 12 yards on the outside on those last drives, and just let them go right down the field. And then Gronkowski catches the ball over the middle, and the rest is history. But I did like the game plan from Dallas's offense, the way they just went in and said, hey, our best guys are on the outside. We have Dak Prescott. We're not going to hold up in the run game, so let's just throw the ball. And they were able to do that, which is a good strategy against this team. But again, if you tell Dallas you're going to score 29 points and get 4 turnovers on the road, they're going to expect to win that game.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Listen, and pay attention, because we do got some merch coming out. You'll see that merch in the next segment right here, and then after that, we'll bring BD Williams in from Tape Don't Lie. We'll be right back. All right, fans, listen up. It's time to get that merch. Put on waivers and put on Raiders merch. Sweatshirts, T-shirts, DM us, text us, sizes, orders, we got you. And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we have a guest, Tape Don't Lies. BD Williams is with us here. BD, how you doing today?
Great, guys. Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's coming pretty quickly here now. The first game was last night, and now we have to wait till the last one. Monday Night Football in Allegiant Stadium, Ravens, Raiders. Let's just get right to it. Raiders defense versus Lamar. A lot of his his backfield has been decimated. I'm not sure what's going on with the turf out there or something. Bad luck out there with the Ravens here because they got a lot of injuries there. What are your thoughts about how you stop him and how you stop that running game that he provides?
It's definitely helpful for his backs, the presence of Lamar Jackson and the run threat that he has. It makes everyone play, man to man, basically, against the backfield. A lot of times when you have your Tom Brady's, your Drew Brees under center, and you have a run game, you're going to have 7 blockers against 8 defenders, and you don't have that +1 against Lamar Jackson. So whoever's back there is going to get slightly easier of a job to find lanes. So, if it's Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, or maybe even a young guy, I guess his name was Tyson Williams, I would assume that the run game is probably going to keep on humming.
Yeah. Do you see Yannick and Crosby are going to be those pass rushers? Do you see at times maybe playing some ends with Farrell and Solomon Thomas just on rundowns, just to try to slow that down a little bit because Yannick is not the best in run defense.
I thought that it was actually interesting, like going and doing a deep dive of Yannick Ngakoue. And his last season, he was actually played much better against the run than he did in his previous years. So we'll see how much, he's involved in that. I would expect him to be on the field, first through third down. I'm not expecting him to be subbed, except if he needs just a blow on the sideline, honestly. But I would hope, to see some Cleveland Farrell out there, whatever the combination is, Solomon Thomas as well. Those guys are really good run stoppers, and this is a run heavy team. So hopefully the rotation features both of those guys, and they're not just, sitting on the sidelines, except for, a handful of snaps.
No, definitely. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to see a little bit of Solomon Thomas, the 5 technique, and I'd expect to see a lot of Gerald McCoy and Jonathan Hankins at the 3 and the 1, just to kind of slow down this running game. Talk to us about Denzel Perryman. How does he fit? It looks like on the depth chart he's the starter. And then KJ Wright, how does he fit? What does he allow them to do on defensively against this kind of offense?
Okay, yeah. So Denzel Perryman first. I've watched probably like 5 games of Denzel Perryman. I didn't go and scout like him for like multiple seasons or anything like that. But something that popped off the tape for me is just his closing speed. His burst, especially when he's coming like downhill, is pretty darn good. It's about as good as you're going to see in the NFL. I don't think that he's great against the pass. I was struggling to find him making any sort of impact in coverage, and I just could not find that. But I think that really what his strength is fitting against the run. He has not met a run fit that he couldn't make. So I think that, if the Raiders get out there and base, and to go on to your next question, what the presence of KJ Wright allows them now to get into that underfront and have a Sam linebacker on the in-man line of scrimmage, play that 9 technique against the run, but then also drop into coverage a little bit. It's kind of like a throwback position, I would say, in the NFL right now, that Sam linebacker. And so KJ Wright allows them to get into some base looks, play some underfront, probably play some overfront too here and there, but just like to mix up kind of what they're presenting to the offense. And KJ Wright's ability to play the run is probably one of the best parts of his game. So I do think both those guys couldn't have brought him in at a better time.
No, definitely. And I expect to see, hopefully, Abram mixing up down in the box. Do you see them playing a lot of buzz coverage, or just trying to get Abram down in the box or in the flat towards the end of the line of scrimmage to hold up on the edges?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we'll see if we could, what happens from the game plan that Gus Bradley had going up against the Chargers in the playoffs. So I believe it was 2018 playoffs. He used Derwin James as kind of like a flat defender, not really a buzz defender too much, meaning he was like you're saying, on the in-man line of scrimmage, he wasn't like, a deeper linebacker depth, right? So it's going to be a big game for Abram, KJ Wright, Core Littleton, the nickel, Nate Haas whenever he gets in, because in run support and the force player in cover 3 is so crucial to stopping this run. So those 4 guys that I named, they're going to need to have a big game.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you. And then This is more of a football nerd question, but looking at fronts, deciphering whether they're in an over or under front is as easy as just following the three technique and what side the tight end's on, or what should fans look for to figure out what kind of fronts they're in? Because I know you've done a lot of study on that.
Okay, yeah. So yes, generally yes. A team that's in a four-man defensive line, they're going to have a three technique and a one technique. So they're going to have a defensive tackle in the B gap and a defensive tackle in the A gap. Okay. And if that three technique, that B gap player is to the tight end, that's going to be an over front. If that three technique player is away from the tight end, away from the run strength, then that would be an under front. I mean, you're going to also maybe see some times when there's 2-3 techniques and a nose tackle. That's called a bear front. So it's kind of like even on both sides, as far as like having that kind of B gap presence. So yeah, I mean, there's tons of variations, honestly. So, but yeah, generally, four-man defensive lines are either in an even front or an over front.
One thing that I've been thinking about, and I haven't done a lot of deep dive on Bradley's defenses yet, but the Leo, let's say Ngakoue in this situation, is he ever going to be lined up on the tight end side? Or if they go strong side to the left, is he going to rotate over and play out across from the right tackle? Or will he stay on the side? The tight end comes over and lines up in line next to the left tackle. Is he going to stay there?
So that's a great question. So the way that these teams are generally going to do it is when they're going to wait, they're going to mull around the ball, and the middle linebacker is going to set the run strength. Okay. So he's going to say, solid right, solid left, whatever it is. Okay. And that means that there's a tight end to whichever side that he called. So in Ngakoue's case, he would go away from that. Now, teams that line up like that, okay, usually what offenses do, good offenses at least, is they'll line up one way and then they'll trade the tight end. So they'll, put the tight end in motion and put him over there on the side where the team doesn't want to have their defensive end going up against the tight end, right? And that happened to Ngakoue a lot last year, so much, I would say. So, I mean, that sometimes it's going to happen after the strength is set. They're going to play whatever it is. They're going to play whatever front that they're in. They're going to play it no matter what. But there might be times when, there's like a shift or something like that, and the quarterback can't snap the ball because the rules of the game, if it's a shift, then you'll see Ngakoue flip. But if it's a motion and the quarterback can snap the ball at any time, you can't move. You got to stay and play it.
Okay, I just remember watching Chargers games, and I always remembered I didn't see Bosa move a lot. I thought he always stayed across from the right tackle. So I never saw him as kind of the five technique in that defense go over and play on the other side. But maybe I just wasn't paying as much attention.
And what I would say to that is they were in tons of nickel fronts. And so in a nickel front, there's not a Leo and a big end in a nickel front. It's only in base personnel where this would, be a thing. And it seems like, just judging from how many linebackers they signed, like this is like a huge, like linebacker is a huge emphasis for some reason. So it sounds like they're going to be in a lot of base, just looking at the personnel and the roster moves and everything like that. So I would assume that we'll see some of that. But against teams where it's like they're passing the ball, 70% of the time, yeah, they're going to be in nickel, and you're not going to have to worry about trading or switching sides.
Okay. Yeah, I think Dallas, if I remember correctly, was a nickel 93% of the time, and they're basically a cover three Dan Quinn. So they were in the nickel basically the whole game. Another thing I thought about is if they do play a lot of base, do you see a point this year where Nate Hobbs can actually play on the outside in base? Because he's not going to be on the field if they're in base personnel. Like, is he good enough at some point to take a spot from one of those other two guys in base personnel?
That's interesting. And I think that the learning curve, having to learn to play nickel and then to learn to play on the outside. I'm not saying that Nate Hobbs can't do that, but generally we'll see coaches kind of like work these rookies in at one position in their first year. And if they're a good enough player where they could play multiple positions, we wouldn't see that really come to fruition until like year 2 or year 3. I mean, you remember Paul Gunther refused to put LaMarcus Joyner anywhere but nickel because he was like, it's too hard for him to learn multiple positions, and he was a veteran, so it is asking a lot of a player to switch from, nickel, which basically like the opposite side, weak side linebacker, that's the same position. Like you're doing the same coverages on the opposite side. You're just away from the passing strength if you're the linebacker. So it's not really like playing nickel isn't like similar to playing corner in terms of the coverages and the techniques that you run and the run fits and stuff like that. It's not, it's two really completely different positions. I would be surprised to see it. And I think that there's enough depth, especially because they want to get Arnett rolling here at corner, and so I would expect Arnett to be the first man up on the outside and not Hobbs, but we'll see.
Definitely. You got a game prediction? You want to give it to us here on Friday afternoon?
I am confident that the Raiders can pull this one out. First time that the fans can get in the stadium. I think the factor of the crowd noise is going to be a lot for the opposing offense to contend with. These Raiders fans are champing at the bit. They haven't seen their team live in over a year. They played really well last year on Monday night. They came in the clutch in both phases of football. And all the injuries, the Ravens have just been decimated with injuries. So I am confident that the Raiders are going to pull this one off.
Real quick,
we gave our predictions. I went Raiders 24-20. I think they got a chance here as well. I think they're going to pull out a close one.
Yeah, if they can keep Baltimore to 20, I think that yes, Raiders should win that one for sure.
If they can keep them in the 20s, I think they should be. Let's hope, yeah. As that you've been like you are on the defensive side of the ball, you've seen a lot of really bad Raider defense for a long period of time. Like, number one, how do you stop a guy like Mark Andrews? Because when they don't throw the ball a lot, but when they do, they are pretty good at it. And as far as just the personnel with the defensive tackles and the linebackers, is this like the kind of the best group we've in both of those rooms you've seen in a long time?
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer your second question first. I think that the depth for sure from like top down from on the defensive line group and the linebacker group, there's not guys on the roster that are just like fringe NFL players and they're just there for special teams. Like top to bottom, both of these groups, there's even the guys at the end of the depth chart, are solid to really good NFL players. Gerald McCoy, Darius Philon, Solomon Thomas. Like these guys are in a rotation. They're battling each other. It's Carl Nassib being a backup defensive end. Like he's a proven veteran in the NFL. Cleveland Farrell's first round pick. Some people said he was overdrafted. That's fine. There's still a reason why he was a first round pick. So, both groups have incredible amount of depth. And I think that that's something that's certainly like if we stacked it up against like the depth of the other Raiders teams in like the last 10 years, it would certainly be up there. The one team that comes to mind though is like Richard Seymour, Tommy Kelly, those teams, Kirk Morrison and Thomas Howard. I think that was a good group. At least sometimes they were able to make an impact. But yeah, I think that if we stack the depth of that squad, it's probably like 2005, 2006, 2007 era, 2006. Yeah. We stack that group against this group. I would be willing to guess the depth is better this year. And then to your second question about our first question about Mark Andrews. So it's really interesting because a lot of the things that they do, like the college game also does. And there's like these arc reads where they're having the tight end and they're moving him around and they're motioning him. And then he's a movable battering ram in the run game. And he's going to release up to a safety or he's going to block down or something like that. And then he'll just be like hammering these guys. And they get kind of lulled into, this is a run, beat this block, get around Mark Andrews. And then all of a sudden it's a play action pass and he's just wide open. Right. Yeah. So it's incredibly tough to stop it because you have no idea when the play action pass is going to come. And he's going to get catches, like for sure. Like you have to sell out to stop Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews, he's going to be a possession guy. He's going to get first downs. It is what it is. It's better that he gets like a chunk gain for like 15 yards than, you start, hesitating and Lamar Jackson rolls off a 50-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I totally understand that part of it. A couple of things. Let's see here. One defensive player who you're like really looking forward to seeing play this year.
Okay. So this year, everyone who like follows me or watches Tape Don't Lie, they know I was a huge Trayvon Merrick fan. Finally able to pronounce his name right. I was calling him Morig for like a full year. So yeah, Trayvon Merrick, I'm a big fan of his. I think it's going to be a little boring playing in the single high. So I don't anticipate him making like tons of plays or something like that. But I'm excited to like actually cut the tape on and watch him and how he looks in the deep middle of the field. And then also I'm higher than most or probably just about anyone on Jonathan Abram, and this is going to be a huge test for him. He's going to get a lot of chances to show, what kind of player he is and if he belong, like what kind of category of safety he belongs in. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited to see him get going here because strong safety in Gus Bradley's scheme, he's going to have a heck of a day, setting the edge and forcing the run against Lamar Jackson.
Word association, one word to describe the Broncos.
Punks. I don't know.
the 2000.
Whoa.
The 2021 version.
Yeah. 2021 version. Overrated for sure.
Okay, overrated.
How about that word?
Yeah.
Marcus used the word limited, which I liked.
Okay.
Limited.
Yeah.
Chargers.
Chargers are dangerous. For sure.
Okay. Chiefs.
I'm gonna cheat here. Can I cheat? Can I cheat and say a sentence? I'm just hoping they have a bit of a letdown after the Super Bowl, but I'm afraid because they're probably going to be working harder than ever. Yeah. So I say afraid. That's my one word association.
Afraid. Here you go. Raiders.
Raiders. Let's say hopeful, I guess. I've been bit too many times by these guys, especially like when I was younger. I was like, oh, the Raiders, they got Darren McFadden and all that, and I just got bit in the butt every time, getting my hopes up for the Raiders. So but I do feel this year feels different. So hopeful is what I'll go for.
Hopeful as far as that goes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Tape Don't Lie. B.D. Williams, thank you for joining us here on Put On Raiders podcast. We appreciate you, man. And also the end of the show, Chargers rant was pretty good. That was a pretty good one last time. That was hilarious.
Yeah. It was usually I think Marcus like edits that stuff out. I don't know if we had enough roll that time for him to edit it out. But so yeah, we were getting some good feedback on it. People like it when people like when Raiders fans crap on the Chargers. So still to this day, lived in California for 18 years of my life. My family lives in California. I go back and visit them all the time. I have never in my life met a Chargers fan. They do not exist. I do not believe Chargers fans exist. It's like in New York, they got the Mets, okay? And people are just handing out Mets tickets. Like any job that you work at, they're like, here's free Met tickets just to fill the stadium up. That must be what they do at SoFi to get Chargers fans in the stadium. Like they're handing these tickets out for free, for sure. No one pays to watch the Chargers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to 2 games, and I'm going to the game in SoFi, and I'm pretty positive I'm going to be all silver and black.
For sure. Even when I go to Raiders games on the East Coast, like it'll be like 30-40% Raiders fans. So Raiders fans, that's legit. We got real fans.
No question about it. All right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've been here 31 years. Of my 43, I've met 2 Chargers fans in 31 years. So there's 2 at least. I know they're out there.
That's 2. Yes, that's 2. And I feel like the media's been trying to give them a Super Bowl for like 10 years now. Every year they've been talking about the Chargers going to win the West.
Every year. Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, their roster is stacked. It's just a lot of these guys are often injured. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, Derwin James. It's like
Austin Eckler's already hurt.
Austin Eckler, yeah. So they have a season where everyone stays, healthy. Yeah, but the amount of times everyone's injured and just I don't see year one of a brand new coach them like winning the division in the first year of having a brand new coach. Like that's pretty it's rare. It's more rare than anything, so why would you bet on that? Bet the field when they have a new coach. That's just my opinion.
No question about it. All right, brother, I know you got to go. I appreciate the time.
All right, thanks guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Later, Dwayne. Later, Ryan.
Later.
Cool. BD Williams, tape don't lie. Anything before we head out? You're going. You must be. I know you're pumped for Monday.
I'm ready to hit the road now, but I can't. I'm not leaving until Sunday night.
So,
I'm ready.
Yeah. How long of the drive is that?
No traffic. Normal drive is about 4.5.
Oh, that's not terrible.
So I'll leave. I'll go up Sunday night and then find a hotel. I already have one for Sunday night. Wake up Monday morning, hit the casinos, then walk over to the stadium.
Yeah, it should be fun. I know it's gonna be a lot of. I don't know how people are getting this. It's gonna be filled with Raven fans there. I don't get that, but we'll have to see on Sunday. Remember, Raider Nation, when Derek has the ball, just be quiet. And like Nahab says, make noise like crazy when we're on the field, as far as that goes. But
I do think you'll see more opposing fans than you saw in Oakland, but I still think it's going to be 90% Raiders fans, maybe 10%.
The first Ravens. The first game ever, with fans. Come on, that's crazy. All right, Ryan, take care. All these, right. And listen, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening and all that good stuff. We got the merch out, and you'll see the merch right after this. Look at that ad. The number is there. You hit me up on Twitter, Instagram to get those orders in. So take care. And listen, we got sweatshirts. So when your girl or your wife takes your sweatshirt, you can just buy her one. Put on Waivers, put on Raiders. All right. Take care.
All right, take care. Later.
All right, fans, listen up. It's time to get that merch. Put on Waivers and put on Raiders merch. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, DM us, text us, sizes, orders. We got you.